How's it going, my man?
It's going
How are
good.
you?
I just landed here about half an hour ago, and took the red eye from L.A. and
It's nice weather for you to land here, right?
They tell me actually the weather's worse in L.A. Right now it's raining and everything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a lot better
You
weather here.
are originally from Mexico, right?
Yeah, that's what they tell me. I mean, I was 3 years old. You know, that was a long time ago.
So you don't even remember it at all.
I don't go back there. I'm afraid. You know, I'm on this side. I'm gonna stay here. You know, it's like people ask me about Arizona. They go, "What do you think of Arizona?" You know, they shut the border down to your people, and I'm going, "Well, that's all right. I got no dog in this fight because all my family's here already. We got in while the getting was good, you know, and then I got no plans to go back."
We had who was the wrestler that we had on that was from Mexico?
Mascaras or something?
No, it was who was it?
Oh, I can't think of his name.
Alberto Del Rio.
Alberto Del Rio. He's like a WWE guy that's from Mexico. We were just talking to him about Mexico. I go, it's,
I've lost
crazy.
a lot of money betting on wrestling.
It's crazy what's going on down there. So
it is. You know, I watch Border Wars like everybody else. You know, and I'm going, man, this is ridiculous. You know, I used to go down there and to Ensenada and Southern California, go fishing and stuff like that. I go down to Costa Rica now if I need to get my Mexican fix. You know, Costa Rica's like Mexico without the chiclet salesman. You know, it's nice. You know, I mean, it's sad what's going on over there. It's lawlessness. You know. I don't know.
Does so when you came here at the age of 2, you said your parents came here. Did they come legally or did they?
No, they actually. My grandfather on my mother's side was born in New Braunfels, Texas. You know, he's a German guy, and so we had family on both sides. You know, but they came over here as migrant farm workers. You know, just poor. We're harvesting vegetables in the San Joaquin Valley where. My family, their car broke down in Fresno, and they decided that was good enough.
We got far enough. Here we are.
Yeah. People ask me where you from. I said, well, Fresno. You know, now it's starting to get some fame because there's the owner of the MGM Grand Hotel is from Fresno. It is a large Armenian community, you know, and you know that's what Fresno's also known for, like the Gossamer Wing people that they flew around the world, but we haven't really had a big celeb. You know, we need a.
You need a breakout. You need like a Justin Bieber or something.
Drew Carey, you know. That's what we need. You know, I fall short, you know.
So what do you think? I mean, what do you think about like the immigration and stuff? That's always an issue. Should we allow people to come over here? What's the story?
Every time we have somebody that comes here, we should deport somebody from here. You know, it'd be like the waiting line. It'd be like you should take a number like a bakery. You know, there's only so much.
So we'll let a Mexican in, and then we take like our worst and get rid of them. Right. You know, like
push
the dumbest
a Canadian
person.
Back. I think, you know, I've been on the border with Mexico. They got this sign of there's pedestrians exiting. They got this little family. It's got to be Mexican. The guy's, you know, dragging his old lady and a little girl with braids, you know, on the border of California and Tijuana down there. They got that. I don't see no signs up here with Canada. They should have like a Caucasian family infiltrating here with like a tennis racket and a.
Well, that was when I lived in Los Angeles for a while, and actually when I was a little kid, we moved out there. And that was so strange for us moving from the Midwest out to Southern California and seeing on the freeways there signs. And it is what he's talking about is it's a sign and it's like two parents, like they're running, you know,
dragging
with,
their little girl.
like with little kids.
Yeah.
And at first, honest to God, we didn't know what these signs were. We go, I've never seen that street sign. And then someone goes, oh, that's like illegal immigrants. Like it's like a deer crossing sign, meaning illegal immigrants are likely to run across this 6-lane freeway here. So yeah, here's actually a sign right there on RMCTV. There,
you tell the little girls got the trenzas, the braids there, and they should have. They don't have that sign up around Canada, do they? You know,
no.
The Canadians are too cool.
They're not running across the freeway.
They're not running across the freeway.
We had no idea what those signs were. It took maybe a month or two, and then finally someone goes, "That's an illegal immigrant." And you go, "What?"
You know, they have the theory of the salmon. You know, they go by numbers. They figured they get like 5,000. They go, they can't catch us all. Boom, somebody's gonna make it. You know, it's like the coho salmon, but. It's desperate. You know, I think the only solution for immigration it will be if they have the guest worker program. You know, I think people will, if they can return to their Mexico with American money, they'll do that. You know, but the reason a lot of them stay is the difficulty of crossing and going back.
Getting back, and once you're here, you don't want to go back.
It's a tragedy.
You're here forever.
There are jobs here in America that native-grown American citizens. My son's not going to do those jobs. You aspire for your children to do something else. So there's always going to be a need for somebody to do those humble jobs. people say, well, they're taking jobs from American citizens. I beg to differ. It's hard to find an African American or a Caucasian guy, with a leaf blower strap on their back. There are certain jobs they're just gonna do. I mean, I don't make the rules. I just realize that there are rules.
You mentioned Paul Rodriguez is here with us. He's going to be at Hilarities tonight and all this weekend.
Yeah, I don't talk about that.
He actually tells jokes, but that's why. Hey, look, we're serious here, and then he'll tell all the jokes on there. You mentioned your son. Yeah. He is a professional skateboarder. I understand.
I wish he would have done something else because he was a better golfer. I used to take him out on the course, and he had a sweet swing. And so much so that the pro at the golf place said, I'd like to teach your son. Your son's got skills, and he was doing pretty good. And then one day he comes back from the 7th, 8th grade, and he gives up on golf. He's a lefty. He said, golfing is gay. Some girl told me golfing is gay. If I can find that girl, I'd choke her because I had dreams of LT Greg Woods, LT Greg Rodriguez, but he dropped that. He started skateboarding, and my heart sank. There was no money in skateboard. I never heard about that. I had dreams of a 32-year-old running around my house asking me for money. It turns out I ask him for money now because he's done well. He's got his own signature shoe. He's won the X Games, I think, 4 times.
Yeah, he's won like all these gold medals in the X Games and stuff.
And he's got money too. He's like a god in Brazil. And I said, I don't understand it.
He goes by, is it P-Rod?
P-Rod.
P-Rod.
Years ago, I did a commercial with A-Rod in Miami for Hanes, and I took him with me, and A-Rod was so gracious to him. They were talking, and I remember him telling him, he goes, he really loves A-Rod. He goes, I'm going to be P-Rod. And I'm going, it doesn't really go well because it sounds like something a doctor would tell you. I said, P-Rod it's not sexy, but it stuck. And arguably, you Google Paul Rodriguez, and there's like, 18 pages of him and then me, but
you're blasted on the list, number 1,000.
When it comes to
so he makes pretty good dough doing this.
He makes very good dough. He bought his own warehouse. He has a stake in a very successful company called Plan B. And he
was a
skateboarder.
He'll
sit there.
I thought he was making the pills, the abortion pills.
That's right. I think they have a lawsuit, right infringement on that. But the Plan B is it's a
skateboarding company.
But it's a skateboarding company. Him and about 5 or 6 of the big time skateboarders, they own it, and they're making good money. He'll sit there and sign a piece of wood and sell it for $80, and the kids line up around the block.
Wow.
Man, that's never happened to me. I'll paint your house for $80. But it happens.
Well, it's good. So you so after you got to the United States, you grew up where?
Just migrant farmers. We're just gypsies. We travel up and down. We used to come to Minnesota and harvest sugar beets and wherever they were paying. For wherever they need.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something
That's
about
an ugly fruit, by the way.
When I lived in Southern California, I will tell you this: a lot of people, they go, "Oh, Mexicans are coming across the border and whatnot." I will tell you this: that they're extremely hardworking people. It's in the culture, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but when I moved one time, you just get a U-Haul truck and you just drive by Home Depot.
We're there.
Like 200 guys are running after you, like jumping up, they're grabbing onto the side view mirrors, like
people.
take me.
For work. That's how I got my sister to get married. I found her husband there. I said, hey, what's it going to take? But the thing about it is that,
and they were hard. These guys were so happy and hardworking.
The bad publicity right now is that there's a lot of bad guys crossing, but there's bad guys crossing. Yeah, sure, but I assure you, the vast majority, they just want to come here and they just want to work and support their families. I'm sure here in Cleveland, I've not been here in a while, but I'm sure that we're versatile. Just about any restaurant you go, we're represented there. They're there, they're working, and they're doing an important job. I'm not advocating illegal immigration. I believe that it is illegal, that they should solve it. But the Republicans and the Democrats, they don't want to face it. They don't want to deal with it. On the one hand, they're afraid of the Hispanic repercussions. I don't think they really understand us. Immigration is not an issue to Cubans. They have the dry foot law. When they get here, they're citizens. Yeah. The Puerto Ricans are arguably the 51st state. Some of them will disagree, but they don't need immigration papers. And Mexican Americans, we're the largest Latino community because of our proximity to America. Those of us who are immigrants really don't have an immigration issue. The people who have an immigration issue are people here who are illegal and waiting for amnesty. Now, I think amnesty, personally, it'll encourage more immigration, illegal immigration. But there's always going to be, there are jobs, for example, farming. I own a couple of pieces of farmland. My family, that's what they do. You cannot find a Native American to be a migrant farm worker. Look, I did it when I was a kid, and I don't blame them. It's
back-breaking work, right?
You got, picking those oranges with a ladder and climbing up there. It is really, really hard work, underpaid. The only people that will do that are illegal immigrants, and you try to pay them a wage and try to they lend themselves for exploitations if they're not in the country legally.
I hear that at one point when you were a kid, you moved to Compton. And
my father had an injury. My father got hit by a tractor, of all things. He got ran over by a tractor in a tomato.
That's pretty slow moving. How did he get hit by the tractor?
The guy driving the tractor, well, he didn't see my dad. Maybe was, I would say, asleep. But tomatoes, they're different kind depending on the kind of tomato. Some of them are on the ground, but there's some that grow on sticks, which is your cherry steak tomatoes, right? And they have these tractors who are big, and they just basically go through there. And he got hit. He broke his back. He was in terrible pain. Couldn't work anymore. We had an aunt that lived in Compton. And timing is everything in life. We landed there 2 weeks later. The riots broke out. It was 1968. Dr. King had been assassinated. And we were the first Mexican family there. They were angry. They were burning. We didn't understand. To be honest with you,
these were the Watts riots.
Yeah.
And do you remember that? You were about 10 years old. Do you remember this?
I remember them clearly. I was afraid. I'd never seen an African American in my life.
Really?
When you're a migrant farmer, you're on the field. Once in a while, you might see a Caucasian guy, the guy running the thing, but you don't even need English. You talk Spanish and everything like that. I was a kid. I didn't understand the politics at all. Landed in Compton, and we saw riots, and then eventually Johnson, I think the president, put the National Guard. There was a tank parked in front of our house. I remember my father telling me because I was his interpreter, telling me to make a sign saying, "We know white." We know white. So there we were on top of the roof with shotguns, trying to protect our own thing, like the Alamo, people's running around. But some of the kids I had known in school, I remember a guy named Alvin Whiteside. He and I were cool. And I kept saying, "Yo, Alvin." We didn't say yo back then. I said, "Alvin," because there was the Baby Burn. That was the thing. I said, "Alvin, give me some shoes." They were going to a place called, I think it was Cads or something. They had a store that went up. And all I was concerned, I said, "Dude, give me some shoes,"
So they were looting and everything, and you just wanted to get...
These weren't integrated riots like they have now. The ones with the Rodney King, where you have a black guy and a Latino carrying a couch. This is an integrated riot, with a Korean guy shooting at them. No, they were very segregated. It was black and black. They didn't.
So you must have gone out there at 10 years old, and after you moved there, 2 weeks later, these riots break out. You go, "Wow, these black people are crazy, huh?"
Well, we didn't understand. We didn't understand. My mom explained it to me like this. She goes. She's told me that there was a patron saint that was black. His name is Sarmantin de Porres. They have him in the Catholic Church in the back. Ironically, it looks like Mr. Obama for real. So it's a skinny saint right next to the poor box. And but it was great. I grew up in Compton. It gave me the first English I learned was black slang English.
Yeah.
And it helped me think on your feet. I got a special coming out where I have a picture of me in junior high school. I'm the kicker in the football team. Everybody else in there is African American, and I'm the white guy there. And I was the kicker, and I remember the coach telling them, "Y'all lay off him. He's our racial diversity." And a lot of those guys went.
And how were they? Did they treat you well? I mean, you're a Hispanic.
Great friends. Yeah.
No one messed with you.
Not really. They protected me. It was cool. They had as a matter of fact, Kenny Landreau, my good buddy, went on to become a professional baseball player. He with the Dodgers. He had a good career. Kenny Landreau, he's my teammate, and another guy named what's his name? Brown. January, I think it was. He was named after a month. He had a season or two, and there's a lot of good athletes there. I thought it was football, kick football.
Yeah.
I didn't understand the ball running and hitting because these guys would tower over me. But I went out for it. The guy made me the kicker. I kicked. We had a lousy season, but they didn't hold it against me. It was fun,
Paul Rodriguez is here. He's going to be at Hilarities tonight at 8 o'clock, tomorrow 7:30 and 10, and Saturday 7 and 9:30. I'll give you the number to purchase tickets here in just a second.
It's the child support tour, I call it. People say, "What are you doing over here November, January in Cleveland?" Hey, man, I got I got child support payments.
Do you really have child support payments? Do you? Are you married?
No, I'm not married. I've been married.
So you're divorced. How many times have you been married?
I'm against straight marriage. I've lost 2 houses. I'm all for gay marriage. It's not worked out for me. But no, I got two kids, and I'm doing all right. I call it child support.
How many times have you been married? Once, twice?
Once.
One time.
And that really is enough.
And
I've been
how
married
long,
once, and I lost 2 houses.
How long ago did you get divorced?
In 2000. In 2000, she decided that the neighbor was at home more often.
No kidding. So she ran off with the neighbor?
She didn't run off. She just moved
next door.
I figured I want you to be happy, but do you have to take my house? When I met you, you didn't have a house. I had a house.
How long were you married for?
8 years.
8 years.
8 years. And I thought that was it. I was going to be retired. But I'm not blaming her. I wasn't exactly an ideal husband.
Well, you're probably on the road a lot.
On the road a lot. She didn't want to travel.
Did you cheat on her and stuff because you had opportunities?
I cheated on every woman I've ever been with except her.
No kidding,
and
really.
She's the one that it all works out at the end,
almost like payback for all the women that you cheated on.
I understand it. I'm not even mad. The truth
How pissed were you?
Some of us aren't built to be monogamous,
Now it's 12 years later, but how pissed were you at the time? Or did you understand?
Your ego's bruised, what does he have that I don't have? You go through all that nonsense.
Right.
But ultimately, you got to be truthful to yourself and go, well, come on, man. You weren't at home that much. You guys had a kid. Now, you take care of the kid, make sure he's important, he doesn't even feel scarred. Hopefully one day he'll grow up to make millions and take care of you,
Yeah.
That's what we have. Our kids are a 401k plan, basically. You hope that some of them are don't grow up to be bums.
Well, that is true. I believe I think that the younger the people are, the less into marriage that they are. You see marriage rates going down because you say people aren't, built to be monogamous. I don't think that most people are. I would say 90% of people are not built to be monogamous.
I think I'm with the Bruce Willis school on that thought. He was married to Demi Moore, a gorgeous woman. That he finally, I think, on an interview on Vanity Fair, he said, "Look, I don't think we were built to be monogamous. I'm over here, being disrespectful with this girl, and she's over there. Might as well just be out in the open. Go, I wish you well. I don't plan to get married again. I am looking for a woman with her own credit rating and her own money. I don't want her to do her business in front of me. But if I'm gone and I don't know anything, I think as you get older, what you're looking for is companionship and trust. That lust of the body and all that dies off.
Well, I think that the older that you get,
and if not, you could always go to the Philippines, which is where I was stationed in the Air Force. It was a great place. I almost re-enlisted. It was so good.
The older you get, I think you realize there's more. You can have a relationship with someone and be mentally committed to them and that sort of stuff. But sometimes you see
a lot of that is religious. I think look, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but a lot of that is we all grow up to have this religion. View of the sanctity of marriage and this and that. The truth is we're human beings and we're flawed.
I'm surprised to hear you say this because I heard that you were like a conservative guy. You were a big Mitt Romney supporter.
I'll stick to that. I believe that every 4 years you have the opportunity to throw somebody out of office. If you're the boss, this is the opportunity to vote your conscience. But once it's over, whoever the president is, you get in line and hail to the chief. This is democracy. I went out. I've supported Mr. Romney. I believed his ideas were better. I think he had ideas.
Yeah.
A lot of people disagreed with me. I got email going, you're a turncoat. You forgot where you came from. You're this and that. Look, man, I'm not advocating communism or anything. This is an American way. I have nothing personal against Mr. President Obama. I'm loyal to the presidency now. But a lot of people, I'm never going to go to your show. And I figured, I don't think you were going to go to my show anyways. Hopefully I won't miss you. But if you don't want to see my show because you disagree with my politics, then fine.
Screw you.
You go on. So far I've not felt the absence. Nobody's
well, you were in the. You mentioned you were in the military, so you served the country. Where were you in the Air Force?
I was
Army?
drafted. I'm 57 years old. I was drafted in 1972. I didn't go to Mexico. I went. I'm American. I paid my dues, and I think I have the right to stay here.
What did you do in the military?
I was a loadmaster on a C-130 in the Air Force. I didn't want to go to the Marines. I had my own khakis that were going to Vietnam. Very scary. So I went to the Air Force. People who are able to kill people from far away. I figured I'll do this. And I got stationed in Duluth, which was there was no war there. It was war against cold. And from there, I went on to. I remember trying to join Tops and Blue, which is a entertainment thing that you do. You join the USO, and I wanted to do comedy, and I made jokes about General Parker, who was one of the highest POWs, and he had this sexy walk like Ricardo Montalban, and I do an imitation of him. And next thing you know, I had orders to go to Iceland. I was in Iceland. I was probably the only Mexican in Iceland. I'm in Keflavik, Reykjavik, and let me tell you, it was 1 year. I'd rather go to San Quentin than go to there.
So how did you end up? So you're in the military. How did you end up getting involved in comedy?
Comedy is not something that you get involved. It's what you do. It's how you are. It's your personality. I didn't know what stand-up was. I was going to college after I got out of the Air Force and GI Bill. I wanted to be a high school history teacher, and I wanted to see if I could be a lawyer. But if I didn't have the brains for that, I wanted to teach, which is what you do if you don't have the brains. And I went up there, and a friend of mine, my roommate, my buddy in the Air Force, he wanted to be an actor. He was passionate about acting. We were roommates, and one day he comes there and he goes, "Hey, drive me to Universal Studios. I'm auditioning for a movie called DC Cab. They're looking for this fast, jive-talking Latino." And I said, "I'll give you a ride." Went over there, and he goes, "Why don't you audition? You're here already. You need to talk fast like a Puerto Rican, man. Go out there and tell him, you want to do something." and I said, "Nah, man, this is not my thing." He goes, "Man, you get this job. It's going to be 20, 30 grand probably." I went, ding.
Okay.
20, 30 grand. That's more than I'm up in debt. I got college tuition bills. I don't know what I'm doing. And I went over there and I auditioned for Joel Schumacher, who later became he had done DC Cab the season before. No, he'd done a Car Wash, if you remember. It was a big hit. And I went in there and he gave me a thing. He told me to read. And I read like badly. I said, and he says, "Put that down." He goes, "Thank God he gave me a second. And just act like you're trying to convince somebody to get into a cab, like you're a fast talking, like you're a gigolo, I said, "All right, well, I do this all the time in clubs." So, ¿qué pasó? Yeah, ven para acá. Mira aquí. Next thing you know, I'm in the movies. I did the movie. I forgot all about it, and I went back to school. And if the movie would have been a bomb, I probably would have been an attorney or a teacher now.
Yeah.
But you know how fate is. I went in there, and the movie came out. I went to see it. It was a big hit. And I'm going to school. I'm going to college. I'm trying to get through to get my BA. And people, my schoolmates would come up to me and go, "Man, we went to see DC Cab. There's a dude just like you there, man. Just like you." And the girls that I would go, "It's me," they would go, "Nah, what are you doing? It's not you." And the girls that I would say, "No, it's not me," they would insist, "Yeah, it's you." So I was confused. Fame was just, I didn't know what, this was my first touch of a little
He would
fame
tell
there.
the fat girls, "No, that's not me. The hot girls, yeah, that's me."
Don't get me wrong. Some fat girls can work it, and some of them have a pass. I like large girls. But anyways, when I did that, I was at the library. I was behind. I had to pass my test, and I just really in terrible state. A skinny guy named Joseph, Barry Josephson, later became president of Columbia Pictures, as a matter of fact. He comes in there and he goes, "You Paul Rodriguez?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "You're the actor from DC Cab." I go, "Look, man, I got to get some study." And then he says, "I come from Columbia. There's Kevin Bacon is doing a movie called Quicksilver." He says, "We'd like for you to come and audition." I go, "Nah, I got my money. I paid up and everything. I really don't have time." Had he not said that there's $300,000 in it, I would have just not listened. Really, I was fed up with people coming in going, do that. It's tough to be a man, baby line. I go, "It's tough to be a man." Yeah, thank you. And he said, "Well, we'd like to take you down there to a screen test, and if you get it, it's $300,000." And I'm going, "What? For reals?"
You go, "Okay."
And I put the books down, the jacket. We hopped in his MG. Went over there, and I never even went back for my books and my jacket. I just left it at 300 because we were in terrible poverty. My family was in Compton. We were just terrible. I couldn't help them out a lot. And I figured I'll do this, take the money. I don't care how the movie does. And I'll go back and pay and finish. I won't have to have a job with $300,000. I could buy them a house and I could pay for my entire education. I'm in Easy Street, right? But the movie came out, and to this day, Kevin Bacon he was the most gracious dude. He was a big star then. He's a big star now. But I was nervous. He was there. He told everybody to leave the room, and he says, "Listen, Paul, what you need to do here is you're a guy, you're having a baby, you're up to your ears in bills, and you're desperate for me to help you. I'm a stockbroker who now does this." And I was having a baby at the time with my girl, and we were in that situation. So I just didn't even have to act. I just acted like how I felt at the moment. And it's about a guy who's a bicycle messenger who has a hot dog stand, and he's just a simpleton guy, not stupid, just innocent.
Right.
The ways of the stock market. Well, the movie came out. I got paid. I bought my parents a ranch, and I never looked back. Just another came along, and then I started to do stand up at the Laugh Factory. And 32 years later, I'm here with you.
How poor were you growing up?
Well, it was very poor. Compton it was just, my father had no job, and I was in the Air Force. I was trying to give them what I could. They had
How many kids were in the family?
There was 5 of us. My father was a family man. He had 2 families. We didn't know until he passed away because they were there mourning too.
There was another family.
There was another family he had, you know. And
now, did that hurt you when you found that out?
I was conflicted because he was a nice man. I loved him dearly, but I thought it was a betrayal of my mom. And I think to a certain extent that's what was going in my head when I was out there just sleeping with everything I could till I stopped drinking tequila, you know. Because then, you know. But, you know, you're not responsible for your dad's sins. I've always had you got to laugh about it or else you...
Now, your mother had no idea that this was going on, or did she? Sometimes the women know. And
dude, that family lived 2 blocks from, you know.
No kidding.
You know, look, you know, infidelity sucks. And but she looked the other way. I guess women in that time, I guess, were taught to look the other way, not no more, you know. Now you cheat on your old lady, you better sleep with one eye open.
So how did you you found this out after your father passed away? So how did you forgive him? I guess at the you know.
Well, I'm not responsible for his sins. You'll have to answer for that. You know, I just know that the man that I knew as my father was a loving man. He worked hard. He was in terrible pain. That's another thing. He had a broken back, and he's fathering kids over here. How did he do that? They should have took a picture of him doing that instead of on the roof. They took a picture of my dad on the roof to get him out of workman's comp. And I thought myself, I confess, I thought he was faking it. But when he passed away, the doctor who did the autopsy, for some medical reasons, said, you know, I don't know how this man walked. There was no cartilage in between some of his vertebrae. He must have been in horrible pain, and he was. You know, it was a very suffering life. I guess, I don't know if it's possible. I guess it's possible he'd be in love with 2 women because I talked to my brothers and sisters on that family. They said he was always there.
Really?
Well, how was that possible?
So you met them after the fact. Was that bizarre to meet them after the fact?
It was very bizarre. The first time I was on the Tonight Show, I heard from 2 children that he had that never talked to him after he married my mom, you know, and it's complicated. And they saw me on the Tonight Show and they called Dad and they said, "Is that my brother?" And then they wanted to meet, but I had resentment towards them, and I figured if you don't like my parents and you just like them because I'm on the Tonight Show, then I don't think I want to be your friend. You know?
Right.
I mean, you might be blood related to me, but you know, you weren't. You know, the way you treat my mom, I just had on them. I've tried to work them out, and I try to be their friends, but maybe they don't want to be my friend now, and it's fair.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly somebody that you know you strive to meet. You know, nobody grows up saying, "I want to meet Paul Rodriguez." I realize that. Look, I'm just a comic. I think I give you your money's worth. You come see me, I'll make you laugh, and I'm not out there going to change the world. I just want to change my sheets. That's it.
In fact, Paul Rodriguez is going to be at Hilarities tonight at 8:00, tomorrow night 7:30 and 10 p.m. And Saturday, 7 and 9:30. That's over there on East 4th Street. It's a very nice place if you've never been there.
It's been there a long time, they tell me.
Yeah, it's been
good corned beef.
And it's just
everything's funny but our food. That's their motto.
Have you so you just got here.
I just landed here, yeah.
So have you ever even been over to this place yet?
I've not seen it. I'm not
You're going to be blown away by this place because most comedy clubs are just little, you know, this is extremely nice place.
I'm one of I own a little bit of the Laugh Factory, the famous Michael Richards thing.
Oh, that's where he did the whole enter thing.
I was there that night. It was a nightmare. I was in Chicago. We opened there, and Hilarities is a place that's been here a long time. It's legendary, you know, and I have the opportunity to come here and work. Come to Cleveland. Cleveland's always been the butt of jokes and stuff like that, but. So far, I ain't laughing. It's hardworking, you know.
So is it pretty good money in owning the comedy clubs, or has it gone downhill because of
ironically enough, we were struggling. Then the Michael Richards incident happened, and boom,
everyone wants to check it out.
But I wish he could come over to do it again. I'd give him a limo to go out there. I don't agree with what he said, but I hope he say it again because.
Were you there?
I was there that night.
You were there that night. Did you see him say this?
I did. I begged him after the show. I said, "Mike, this ain't you, man. Go up there and tell him it's a joke." See, Mike, he wasn't really a stand-up. He would do these pieces. He wasn't a stand-up. Stand-up. See, if you're famous, when they announced him, they said, Michael Richards, the place went nuts. Seinfeld, right? Who doesn't like that?
Sure.
But when he went up there, he wasn't Kramer. He was him, and he was doing this bit about how dogs talk to each other at night. And he goes, "Hey, hey, hey, hey." You know, he'd bark at each other. And it wasn't funny, but it was, you know, and if you're famous, it'll only help you for about 20 seconds on stage. After that, it's bring me the bacon, you know.
Right, be
I ain't
funny.
laughed, you know. Where the jokes, you know? And people started heckling him, you know. You're not funny. Get off the stage, you know, cracker, you know. You could hear it on the tape. So it was instigated against him. But I think he went way too far. When
He snapped.
he should have gotten up there and go, that was a routine I was trying. I think people would have forgave him, but you know, somebody videotaped. Next thing you know, we had CNN, we had Jesse Jackson, everybody out there.
Now, you know Michael Richards, then, to some extent, at least.
Well,
Maybe you're not great friends.
I've
But,
met him before. I'm not going to say here we were the best of friends, but yeah, everybody knew.
But did he
was
seem
on a
all
show
right?
called Fridays years ago.
did he seem all right? I mean, or did you think that there was any tinge of racism
Look,
to him?
The man has never seemed that what he said was terrible. You know, he has to answer for that since. But I wasn't close enough to know if he really felt like that. I don't think so. He'd come to the club many times and done routines, you know, and people would want an autograph. He'd sign an autograph and leave, you know. But see, it's sad. Here's a man who has a great body of work. When he passes, and, you know, may he live forever, but when he passes, people aren't going to remember he was an avant-garde, that he knew that. They're going to remember him for this one incident in his life, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what happens these days.
Yeah.
Everyone has a camera. Stuff gets up on YouTube. If you
I
screw
know, you
up
can't even go
once,
to a porn store nowadays without somebody. Oh, am I saying too much?
well, like your man Mitt Romney was taped by the waiter saying
think-
the 47% or whatever the hell that
I think
was.
that cost him the election. That cost
yeah.
him the election because people misunderstood the 47%. Like it or not, mathematically, he is correct. It's not something I'm saying. As if you know anything about bookkeeping, he wasn't saying that these 47% people don't need to live or have no business. He simply said that in reality,
They're going to vote for Obama no matter
they're
what.
in the pocket. So let's concentrate on the ones that are possible.
I understood it. In fact, I did not vote for Mitt Romney. I didn't like him, but I did. I actually, in that case, sort of defended him. I go, look, what he's saying was that, you know, 47% of people are going to vote Democrat no matter what. 47% of people are going to vote Republican no matter what.
There's
you
no
don't go
change.
out and try to win them over. It's that 6% in the middle.
In
That's
Los
who you
Angeles,
try
in
to.
California, we had an election where a woman who has very little charm and ability to speak, but a great businesswoman, Meg Whitman, used to run eBay.
Yeah.
She took eBay from a smaller company to $1 billion company. She knows how to do this. She doesn't know how to dress sexy and tell you that she's going to change her world. And she ran against Jerry Brown, a career politician who knows how to gamble in the machine, the politics of the machine.
Slick, yeah.
You know, she lost terribly, but in the process, we became friends. You know, I said, listen, the Hispanic vote is not going to understand you because you're talking about, you know, their perception is that she paid $150 million of her money. She was trying to buy the governorship. Mm-hmm. And I said, you need to get them across that Governor Brown has $80 million from the unions. Now, when whoever gets elected, who's going to have his ear? If you're a union, the unions are. Not that there's any. Yeah, there is something wrong, and the cities are going broke because of that. I'll say that here. And then Meg Women, you spent your money. So whose loyalty? Who do you owe something to? But the public didn't see that. They came up with dirty politics. Came up saying an ex-maid that used to work for her, that she was a terrible bookkeeper. She was paying her $28 an hour. I know a lot of people, me included, I take a job for $28 an hour.
Right.
You know, that's not exactly slavery or an abuse. You know?
Right.
But they didn't see it like that. So the publicity machines can spin anything anyways. I worked in the San Joaquin Valley, and I was asked, an exploratory situation for me to run for the congressional seat there. And I working with the water rights in California, I learned so much. I really want nothing to do with politics. You know, look, I don't have any skeletons in my closet. I got fresh bodies. I like to live my life the way I do, but I think this keeps away a lot of potentially talented people who could help us.
I've said this on the air just last week. I said, look, we have so many people that probably would want to get into politics,
They won't.
but we have, like I said it in relation to this General Petraeus thing. That a lot of people would be interested, perhaps, in getting into politics, and we could use some new ideas, some people from different backgrounds,
but they themselves know there's something in their past,
right? But if you banged some,
Waitress at
22-year-old,
Denny's.
right,
If you're currently doing
that's
one.
going to come out, and people care about that. And who wants to put themselves through that hassle? No one would want to do that.
France, all these other countries look at our politics and they go, something's wrong. We have rocks in our head. we expect our candidates to have a morality that we ourselves don't possess.
Exactly.
You know, we put them up to a standard. Now, do you want the Pope to be the president, or do you want a guy who knows how to build and knows economics and understands the complexity of the...
Now, this is a sincere conservative guy. I'll tell you, this is the problem that I have with the conservatives, is that they're always the ones saying, don't, you know, I'm Mr. Family Values, I'm Mr.
And then they
Religion.
catch him.
There was just a guy, in fact, I don't have the article in front of me, a guy, he is a congressman, and he was reelected, and his whole shtick was, I'm Mr. Family Man, I'm Mr. Pro-Life. And this just came out in the past couple of days that in reality, he's been divorced, of course, but
He likes to be spanked.
it turns out that he got divorced because he cheated on his wife with he's a doctor. He was a doctor before he's a congressman. Cheated on his wife with 7 different women. 3 of them, I believe, were patients. A few more were office workers.
And the rest were unconscious.
And Mr. Pro-Life encouraged not only his ex-wife but one of his mistresses to both get abortions. Ooh. So,
I thought get together. I was going to say, hey, this man is really out there.
So this is what look. That's why you practice what you preach. I mean, some of the stuff with money and that kind of stuff I can believe in, but I can't support anyone that tells people how to live their life when it comes to that. Look, and then they're caught doing that exact same thing.
It's biblical. You know, we all fall short of that standard, short of the glory, if you will. You know, if I were to run, I'd do the Tim Allen thing, you know. I'd come out and tell you, exactly. I've used drugs. I may be on them now. You know? You'd have to be on drugs.
Well, it sounds like you are interested in politics, and it sounds like maybe you might want to get involved in government somehow in the future.
Unless I have the urge to steal some money, no, I might. No, you know what? The pool's in, the patio is dry. I'm well. I don't see myself. I think we should get the kind of government we deserve, you know. And if you want someone who has very pious views on sexuality and on drugs and all this other stuff, you'll find that person. But don't put yourself out there in the Tower of Ivory if you have you know, legs made out of clay. You know, I mean, I have a lot of faults. I'm human, you know, but stealing and lying isn't one of them.
Yeah.
So you know, if you want somebody to do that, then you'll get that. I have no. First of all, I know what congressmen make, and
you're making more than
I pay that much in taxes. I don't want to brag, but I'd have to be a major pay cut on that. And thanks to the folks that come see me, and you know, if I ever reach a point where the people don't want to see you anymore, then you got to be gracious. Thank them for the past and move on. I'll be in Costa Rica, you know. You know,
living the high life.
Getting a tan for Mexican, which will take all day.
Paul Rodriguez is going to be at Hilarities tonight, 8 p.m. Friday, 7:30 and 10. I'm not political
on stage.
No. He's funny on stage. Saturday, 7 and 9:30. And his website, paulrodriguez.com. Now, I do have some tickets to give away to the shows this weekend. Caller 30, 1-866-YO-ROVER. That's 1-866-967-6837. I will... give you
anybody whose
tickets.
Last name ends with a Z.
And the number to call if you want to purchase tickets is 216-241-7425. That's 216-241-7425. Paul, thank you for coming in.
I appreciate the time you've given me, you know, and all the folks out there, you know, come out and see me.
And you'll be funny the whole time.
Dude, I got routines.
A lot of times people come in here, they go, oh, I have to be funny. I have to tell all these jokes. I'd rather hear about you growing up poor and your father having a whole nother family. That, to me, is...
Jokes, I mean...
People go to your act to see the jokes.
You want to see the jokes.
Pay for that stuff.
Hey, I'll tell you who. But, you know, basically, I'm old school. You know, I weave a story. I tell you things that I've tried before that... They're going to make you laugh. You know, I'm not political. I don't want to sway you, change you. I'm not going to holler at you, insult your sacred cows. My job up there is to make you laugh, and I will go to any low or any high I have to, you know. I read the audience. I don't go up there with a set routine. I just go out there and I'll talk about Cleveland. I'll talk about whatever is on my mind that day. That's how I'll talk. And so far, it's been going good. No complaints. And, you know, come and check. If you've ever been curious, if you've seen Carlos Mencia, then you've already heard my act. But seriously, folks.
Well, it's funny because someone was just on the phone and he goes, "How come Paul rips off so much from Carlos Mencia?"
Yeah, you know, I started ripping him off from 30 years ago, and
is that true? What he
look, Carlos is a very talented guy. He's a friend of mine. I've told him myself, you know, if you're gonna steal, don't do it from Bill Cosby. You know, don't do it from people who have established routines. you know, he said it himself in a movie called Comics that I'm also in, that he'll do that. He's got to live with his burdens. He's still a friend. You know, when George Lopez and Carlos and I, they were my opening acts. We traveled. We were doing the Three Amigos tour, made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Thought we were friends. They had a dispute. I had no problems with that. Later, George and I produced a thing called the Latin Kings of Comedy, which is still the most successful Hispanic video out there, you know. Then we were all friends. We were making lots of money. And then our lawyers, our agents got involved. We've been in a lawsuit that just concluded. I won. And nobody talks to anybody anymore. I'm sorry I ever did that. You know, I'd rather have their friendship.
Isn't it crazy that the more successful you get, the more
The only people made money were the
lawsuits
attorneys.
come? And I mean,
Sad.
I've been sued like 8 times or something, and I've never lost once. But it's just
Exactly.
it costs so much money.
You know, I have to have insurance for the things I'm gonna say, which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? You're a comic. I've been sued several times. You know, I got sued by my ex. I was on a Spanish television on the Christina show.
Yeah.
And she asked me, why didn't I marry my son's wife, my son's mom? Yeah. Why did I marry her? And I said, well, you know, the father from El Salvador did a shotgun wedding, and I went on in Spanish to explain that I was so scared I'd slipped on my own. The guy sued me. This is in spite of the fact that I'd helped him. I get a house, and I guess that doesn't have nothing to do with it. But he sued me on nothing. He wasn't a public person. I didn't defame him. I didn't name him. I didn't say anything like that. But it was before Christmas. I walked up to him and I said, look, the joke wasn't bad. I'm sorry. You're my family. You're my kids. Let me give you $50,000, and you know, you enjoy, have a good Christmas, no hard feelings. We continue on. His lawyer heard that. He goes, if we can get 50 from Rodriguez, we can get 250.
That's right.
And I said, 250, I'll use that to defend myself. I won. I spent 300 and something thousand. I won, but I didn't feel like a winner.
Yeah,
I didn't have a grandpapa. We lost our friendship, and it's sad.
I spent $50,000 defending myself in a case from a woman that didn't even have a lawyer. She was working as herself, but it cost me $50,000 to defend. I mean, it's.
The law's got to be changed. If somebody's going to sue you, fine, go and sue you. But loser pays.
I would totally support
but
that.
Why is that?
I think the only reason we don't have that is that if a poor person is wronged and they don't have the money to be able to pursue legal action,
they're low.
And Paul, it's funny he brings up insurance. People don't even realize. I have to pay
a lot of money for insurance.
Yeah, it's like $15-20 a year that I pay just in case
somebody has a similar lifestyle. You know, hey, he was talking about me this morning. You should be glad. Look, I think the day America loses the freedom to speak your mind, whether you should have the right to be stupid.
Yeah,
you should have the right to this is America, right? You have to have the right to be wrong, if you will. But for somebody to sue you, we're over lawyers. Shakespeare was right. They could sue you for anything. Right now, the conversation we're having, some person out there can say, that's exactly what he was talking about me. I mean, these people have an opportunity to sue you, but all you got to do is defend yourself, and that costs you lots of money.
Well, anyone who wants to make a quick buck, go see Paul Rodriguez tonight.
Sue
and then
me.
Sue
I'm going
him
to talk
afterwards.
about you. I'm going to name you. You're going to make your money. I'll be in the poorhouse, and you'll be doing well.
Paul, thank you for coming in.
Appreciate it.
Have fun while you're here in
Every
town
day.
this weekend. I'm going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with the Thursday Hookup next on Rover's Morning Glory. Hang on.
Rover's Morning Glory.